You ever been driving in the car or sitting on the deck and a song comes on the radio that makes you think of somebody important in your life? Music has great power to do that. That is what we're going to talk about today. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. Doing a video today about albums that remind us of people that we love or people that are very important to us. This is contest entry from my very good pal Alex over at Beer and Vinyl. He's running a contest right now to celebrate his passing 500 subs, which is a big milestone for any person making videos on YouTube. First of all, congratulations, Alex. Well deserved, my friend. I'm proud of you. I like to say I helped in that a little bit because of me. Alex made his very first video. So I love Alex. He's such a great friend. And I'm honored every Wednesday when he and I get to participate in our live chat together. So congratulations, Alex. Please, everyone, check out Beer and Vinyl. You will always be entertained, I promise you that. So, as I mentioned, Alex wants to talk about records that remind us of people that we love or people that are important to us. Easy. I've got as many memories as I do records. And what I love about this contest, I did something like this similar 2 years ago when I did my first and only contest. I wanted people to show albums that were kind of like the soundtrack to their life, that reminded them of an event, of a memory, of a person. And I think for the same reason that Alex is doing it, right? Because, we all know about the music, but it's, what is that personal connection to the music? Because music is such a personal thing. I love hearing the stories about why people like something more than I like actually hearing about the music. I can go listen to the music, but why does it matter to you? That interests me immensely. So I love that you're doing this contest, Alex, and I'm happy to share 5 stories with you and everybody else. The first one for me, easy, my dad. My dad was my best friend. My dad is the reason I am who I am. So you can either thank him or blame him, I suppose. He's the reason for all of this. He was a music fan. He was a record guy. I sort of followed in his footsteps, and this is all his fault. There are more records and songs than I could think of that remind me of my dad. And I have many stories that I can share and many that I already have shared. But I'm going to share this one. My dad died in 2009, quite unexpectedly, 1 week before my wedding. Most traumatic event in my life. The event that has affected me more than anything else in my life. And I don't mean that to be a downer, but just to provide some context. I miss him immensely. And this is the record I'm going to show. It's actually on CD because it's not available on vinyl. This is Fleetwood Mac's Time. Most people go, what? Yeah. This came out in 1995. This is kind of the one-off lineup of Fleetwood Mac that was Mick and John and Christine, along with Dave Mason, Becca Bramlett, and Billy Burnett. It was a one-off lineup. Fleetwood Mac sort of disavows any knowledge of this album. I don't know why. I think it's great. I actually really, really, really enjoy it and wish it would come out on vinyl. Here's why it reminds me of my dad. And bear with me through the story. It has a positive ending to it. My dad was a very, very large Fleetwood Mac fan. He loved Christine McVie. So he had pretty much everything that Fleetwood Mac put out, and consequently I have pretty much everything that Fleetwood Mac put out. The day that he died, September the 18th, 2009. Did not expect that was what was going to happen that day. My wife and I were actually headed to the place where we were having our wedding reception to put down the final deposit when I got the call from my mom. I'll spare you the details because trust me when I say it's the shit that nightmares are made of. I think I finally arrived home that day at about 1 o'clock in the morning. Absolutely inconsolable. And what did I do? I went downstairs to my office. Not in this house, it was in our old house, but similar to this, my music room and my office were the same thing. And I just went to the Fleetwood Mac section and just grabbed something at random, and it happened to be this. And every time I hear this record, it reminds me of Dad. And while it does remind me of that horrible night, which forever changed me, here's what I treasure about this album. This album signifies to me the power that music has. Music was the biggest thing that helped me get through my dad's passing. It was my therapy, and it still is to this day. As I'm sitting here talking to you, there's 2 pictures of my dad on the wall, just on the other side of the camera. I look at him every day. I talk to him every day, and all the time that I'm listening to music, I feel like I'm doing it with Dad. And so, well, the initial memory with this is horrific. It's not the one that I focus on. I focus on the fact that this was a band that Dad loved. And this reminds me that listening to this and listening to so many other albums reminds me of the connection to my dad, but also how I was able through music to get through that. And, I don't know if I want to say be better for it, but I'm okay. It's 14 years later, 15 years later, I'm okay. And it's because of this. So this record, more than anything else, makes me think of my dad. I love him dearly, and I miss him tremendously. I hope that wasn't too depressing. I didn't mean it to be, but it is what it is. The natural segue then is to talk about something that reminds me of my mother. This is a little more complicated. I'll spare the details again, but suffice it to say, my mother's still alive. She lives 5 minutes away from me. And my mother and I have a complicated relationship, and it's not a good one. I am an only child, so I am the only family my mother has. She is now remarried, and suffice it to say, has chosen that family over her own. And that's fine. Whatever. My mother and I, we talk, but it's superficial at best, and it's incredibly infrequent. I wish it was better, and maybe someday it will. But she's made her choices. When I was a kid, though, obviously my mom and I were a lot closer. And one of the things I remember when I was a kid is my mom played the Everly Brothers reunion concert a lot. Now, we had this on CD. I picked this up on vinyl just a few years ago. This was actually the CD. This was the actual CD. This is not like this is the one that was in my parents' collection. And Mom, this was the reunion concert from, 1983. Mom listened to this all the time. She wasn't a huge music person, but she always had this playing. So when I think of the Everly Brothers and I hear, Walk Right Back, Crying in the Rain, When Will I Be Loved, all those great Everly Brothers songs, I think of this live reunion concert. And I think of my mom when I was a kid, growing up, and she'd have this on when she was doing dishes or cooking dinner or whatever. Reminds me of happier times with my mom. The next one I'm going to show is this. This is a band called Trooper, a Canadian band. I kind of think they're kind of like Cheap Trick, kind of. Same sort of era. There's a song in here called "We're Here for a Good Time, Not a Long Time," and this reminds me of a girl um, that I was dating back in 2004. Her name is Kimberly. And Kim and I met at a patio on a restaurant one summer day. And for some reason, I don't remember how we both became uh, big fans of this song that summer, but we did. It was kind of it was kind of like our theme song that summer. And I remember that I went to see Trooper play a concert in Brantford, Ontario, out on the riverfront. They were opening for April Wine. I'm not an April Wine fan. I just went for Trooper, and they played this song. And when they were playing it, I picked up my phone and I held it up and I called Kim so that she could hear this, and we both had a great laugh about it. Here for a good time, not a long time, and here's why that's funny. Um, Kim and I were in it for a long time because that girlfriend from 2004 is my wife, who I have been with now for 20 years. So we're here for a good time and a long time. Naturally, that would mean that, this next one is the most important person in my life, and that is my son. A cold fact by Sixto Rodriguez. My son, his name is Parker. He is 8 years old and is the most amazing little man you could ever imagine. I love him to death. I always wanted to be a dad. Didn't think it would ever happen. I am eternally grateful to have helped bring that life into the world because he's just such an amazing little dude. Has no interest in music yet. I hope that changes. But why Cold Fact reminds me of my son. There's a song in here called I Wonder. Um, and for whatever reason, when my son was, I want to say about two, um, as 2 year olds are apt to be, they are fussy. And there were many nights where, he didn't want to go to sleep or was cranky. And the only thing that seemed to work is to get in the car and put on the song I Wonder by Sixto Rodriguez and just play it and play it and play it. And he went from being miserable to smiling and happy. And every time we hear that song, my wife and I just remember that cute little nugget in the car seat in the back of the car, just grinning away as soon as he heard the do 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 do, which is the bass line. That's kind of the signature hook to that song, which is just bizarre that a 2 year old would like this obscure song that not a lot of folks even know about. So, for my son, I Wonder by Rodriguez. And last, but certainly not least, The Darkness, Permission to Land. This reminds me of my brother from another mother, Blake. Blake is one of my dearest, dearest friends. We have known each other since grade 10, I believe. We met in high school, and when we met each other in high school, we hated each other. I thought Blake was an asshole, and he just thought I was grumpy. Blake's not an asshole. I am grumpy, though. Uh, we did not hit it off. But for whatever reason, we eventually did. And in university, we were very good friends. After university, we became roommates. We lived together. I don't have a sibling, so I don't really know what that's like. But I love Blake like he's my brother. I really do. He and I are a good shoulder for each other, and we share a lot of the same likenesses and things that we like and enjoy and whatever. And I treasure the time that he and I lived together. Yeah, he's a wonderful guy. He's got a heart of gold. He's got two amazing kids. Love him to death. When he and I were living together, one day he brought home Permission to Land on CD. He said, "Rob, you gotta hear this." I'm like, "All right." And he put it on and he skipped to I Believe in a Thing Called Love, which was their big hit off of here. For those that don't know, The Darkness is kind of like a glam rock band from 2000. They're still around. And they kind of make fun of the glam rock, but are also really goddamn good at it. So, there's a lot of people that don't get The Darkness, but when you get them, you get them. And he and I just loved this. And we played this endlessly for probably a year. And the two of us still, we've got like jokes about this album and kind of inside things or whatever. It's whenever we get together, this always comes up. And it's just such a fun memory of he and I blasting this album. And not just that song. I mean, Get Your Hands Off My Woman, Giving Up, which is probably the most profanity-laden song I've ever heard, but is awesome. It's about heroin, but it's still a goddamn good song. We just had a blast with this album, so this just puts a smile on my face. I don't even need to hear it. I just see the cover, or I just hear the word The Darkness, and I just think of my dear, dear friend Blake. It's for you, pal. Love you, man. There you go, Alex. There are 5 albums or songs for people that I love and that are important to me. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please, everyone, check out Alex over at Beer and Vinyl. If you watch me, you probably watch him because he's part of our Wednesday night from the basement chat. But if you haven't, please give him some love. Check him out. He's thoroughly entertaining and much better at doing this than I am. So congratulations, Alex. Well deserved, my friend. We'll see you on Wednesday. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Catch you on the flip side. Bye.